At 20, you feel like a god in a hurry. You are chasing shadows, convinced they are solid gold. You want the clout, the fast capital, and the kind of beauty that burns out by 30. But here is the cold, psychological truth that no one tells you. Everything you think matters at 20 is a lie by 70. Welcome to a collision of perspectives. This isn't just a comparison of age, it's a breakdown of the human psyche. Today, we dissect the young rebel, driven by dopamine and the amygdala hijack, against the old sage, who has mastered the 3-second rule of response over reaction. By the end of this audio journey, you will realize that the old sage isn't just a person you become. It's a mindset you can adopt today to stop being impulsive and start building a legacy that lasts. The currency of success. The rebel sees wealth as a scoreboard. In the modern age, the 20-year-old is under immense pressure to make it before they've even figured out who they are. This creates what we call the IQ trap, being smart enough to see the goal, but not wise enough to see the pitfall. The rebel's psychology is rooted in instant regret. They trade their sleep, their integrity, and their long-term health for a lifestyle that exists mostly for the eyes of others. They believe that money is a tool for noise, for cars, clothes, and status. But listen to the sage. The sage knows that fast money is usually loud money. By 70, the sage values financial peace over flashy assets. To the sage, wealth is the ability to say no to things you don't want to do. It's the silence of a paid-off home and a clear conscience. The rebel works for the world's applause. The sage works for their own inner peace. One is building a house of cards, the other is building a fortress of solitude. The trap of aesthetics. We live in a culture of temporary beauty. The rebel spends thousands on trends that will be irrelevant in 5 years. They are victims of the 3 seconds of choice, choosing the immediate gratification of a like over the long-term satisfaction of character. They obsess over the mirror, fearing the first grey hair as if it were a death sentence. The sage, however, understands that gravity eventually wins the battle for the skin, but the spirit wins the battle for the room. This is the core of emotional intelligence. While the rebel focuses on looking important, the sage focuses on being impactful. A 20-year-old wants to be the center of attention. A 70-year-old wants to be the source of wisdom for those who deserve it. One is a seeker of light, the other is the light itself. Reacting versus responding. Why do smart people fail? Because they react. The rebel is often a slave to their biological impulses. If someone insults them, they fight. If a market drops, they panic. This is the young rebel's greatest weakness, impulsivity. Their brain is a high-performance engine with no brakes. The sage has lived through enough end-of-the-world scenarios to know that the world rarely ends. They practice mental toughness. When provoked, the sage waits. They use that tiny gap between stimulus and response to choose a path of logic. This is the difference between intelligence and wisdom. Intelligence is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing whether or not to say it. The sage knows that silence is often the loudest answer you can give, the final audit of time. The rebel treats time like an infinite resource. They kill time, not realizing that time is the one thing you can never earn back. They focus on self-improvement only when it feels good or when it's trendy. They believe they have forever. But the sage knows the truth. Last chance is today. They know the clock isn't ticking, it's tolling. Every moment spent in vanity or useless anger is a moment stolen from their legacy. The sage prioritizes deep, meaningful connections and mindfulness. They don't rush because they know that being in a hurry is the greatest thief of joy. You don't have to wait until you are 70 to gain the sage's perspective. You can become a young sage today. You do this by practicing emotional regulation, by avoiding the IQ trap of overthinking, and by valuing your legacy over your clout. The rebel provides the energy, but the sage provides the direction. Without direction, energy is just noise. If this exploration of the young rebel and the old sage shifted your perspective today, make sure to like this video. It helps the algorithm find others who are searching for these truths. What part of your life are you currently viewing through the eyes of the rebel? And what is one sage habit you're going to start tomorrow? Drop a comment below. We read every single one. Share this with someone who is currently caught in the trap of impulsivity. And of course, subscribe to the Psychology of Wisdom channel for more deep dives into mental toughness and the lessons that only time and truth can teach.
Remember, knowledge is knowing the path. Wisdom is walking it. Stay grounded.